we have arrived at Chapter 24, Strategic Planning and Healthcare Financial Manager. So this chapter is going to review, obviously, strategic planning, how to do it, what are the components, how it's created, how it is put into action, who's responsible for what actions, etc. So let's just jump into this. By the way, this might be the biggest chapter in our book. There's a lot of information in this chapter, but it all makes sense when you finish it and look back. It's like, oh yeah, okay. So page 273, chapter 24, the major components of a strategic plan. This is the overview. So this is like your playbook for your financial institution, whether it be an office or a hospital. Strategic planning is vital to any organization, of course. The major components are listed in the bottom of the page. Mission statement, vision statement, organizational values, goals, objectives, and action plans, performance plans, initiatives. Be sure to know the difference between these. They're not all the same thing, I promise. This playbook, if you will, strategic planning, shapes the direction of the organization. And the type of organization will dictate what your strategic plan looks like. So figure 24.1 is just a visual of what was listed in the previous page. I'm not going to read these to you, the mission statement, vision statement again, just know. Next page, 275, talks about the varied approaches. Again, the type of organization will change the approach, governmental versus non-governmental, for-profit, non-profit, etc. Keep reading about that. So page 276, excuse me, and moving forward, there's examples. Take time to review these examples and take time and find maybe your local hospital's mission statement or a local doctor's office, or if you prefer a local healthcare not-for-profit, see what their mission statements, what they include, how they vary. Page 278, financial emphasis with the statements, relaying the message on page 279. Websites. When websites became a thing, mission statements, you can find mission statements for your veterinary hospital. You can find mission statements for schools. So yeah, mission statements, you're going to realize just where they are. And now that you know how to create one, you'll spot them out very quickly and easily moving forward. Okay. And take time every now and then to read them. That could almost be like somebody's job to write these mission statements, go around town, go around the, country and write hospital mission statements. But anyway. Okay, so page 280 talks about mission expressed as a motto. So as you do get looking at different mission statements for various companies, there's a 6-word motto and a 3-phrase motto. I'm not going to read about that. They use Duke Medicine and Johns Hopkins as an example in the book. I highly recommend, just because I am a Wake Med nurse. Check out Wake Med's vision page. It's a website. I don't have it offhand, but you can just Google Wake Med Health Hospital's vision mission statement. It'll populate. There's a pyramid. They drilled this into us for 20-some years, and they really do take pride. And actually, our mission, values, statements, etc., that pyramid is on the back of our badge. So they really put that in our heads, and we live by that. We operate by those mission statements, visions, values, etc. Page 281, the strategic planning cycle and process flow. All of this, establishing the goals, narrowing the objectives, this is all what healthcare managers do. They play a huge part on figure 24.2. The goal and the objectives, that is the healthcare manager creating those. The action plans, that becomes your employees or maybe your assistant managers, etc. But then once we get beyond the action plan to the performance measures, that can be metrics for individuals, like I said, your employees. It could also be departmental metrics. So those are very important. Planning the cycle over time, or the planning cycle over time, page 283. You want to visualize, where you're going, whether you want to repeat, adjust, etc. Manager's responsibilities on page 284. Planning, decision making, and providing the accountability. The PowerPoint for this chapter it goes into the federal government agencies. There's a lot of, there's a good amount of slides for that. Just, be familiar with the overall, what does the federal government have to do with it type of information. It's very important. And then we get into the VA. This on page 288. The VA is very important too. Keep reading the chapter. The planning cycle definitions for this example. Okay, so SWOT on page 293. That is SWOT. The acronym stands for Strengths, Weaknesses, Opportunities, and Threats. So if you look at figure 24-6, strengths and weaknesses are something considered internal. What are we good at? What are we not so good at? Where can we improve? External factors would be opportunities and threats. So opportunity would be a population that's been identified that's maybe underserved. How can we do better? What can we change? Threats would be considered something like competition, a different hospital system, buying up office space in our area, providing services, etc. SWOT is still discussed on page 294, projections, financial projections in the future, 294, 295. And that is the end of this chapter. Again, a lot of pages, but very understandable, very doable type material. 24A, the appendix, is just worksheet and question guides. And there is not a worksheet for this chapter. So that's it. Review the PowerPoints and let me know if you have any questions.